Thank you. Oh, I like that. I'll take it right off there. All right. A couple years out of college, I lucked into this amazing apartment in North Philadelphia. The only downside was it was next to this neighborhood you might have heard about called the Badlands. But you know, by day, the Badlands really weren't that bad. I used to ride my bike through there all the time on my way to work and never had a problem. Until one night, I got home a little later than usual, and I was just like putting my key into the door of the apartment, and I heard this sound like a whimper. And I listened, and I heard it again. And I remember thinking, if you go over there and something happens, you are going to remember this moment for a long time. So I get back on my bike, and I'm riding through this vacant lot, and it's dark, and I don't see anything. And I'm riding along this wall, kind of hugging the wall, looking around. I don't see anything. But I hear the sound again. And then I turn the corner, and suddenly I am in this sea of bodies. There wasn't a name for it at the time, but it later came to be known as wilding. It was when a group of guys would go rampaging through the city, just tearing shit up. And at that moment, the shit was me. These guys just wailed into me, and I felt something hit the back of my head, and next thing I know, I am just out cold on the pavement. And when I came to, it was the weirdest sensation, because I don't know if it was like a minute or hours, and I'm by myself, and everyone's gone. And I don't know what to do next. So I go to a payphone, and I dial 911, and when I hit the next one, this fucking police car just came racing up. Like it was like a nanosecond. And the cop pops out, and he goes, Guy, are you okay? What happened? And I said, well, I got jumped by these guys, and I think they took my bike. It's like, they got your bike. They got your guy. Come here. Get in the car. Puts me in the back of a squad car, and then he is off like fucking Batman. We are racing through the Badlands. He's like driving over sidewalks, coming around corners. Well, it turns out other cops had like cornered a bunch of guys and had them lined up. And we come screeching up, and my cop says to me, anybody there you can identify? I'm like, dude, I saw pavement. He's like, anybody you want to identify? Actually, you know what? I think that's my bike. It's like, dude, we know it's your bike. You're the only guy riding a bike in the Badlands. He puts the bike in the back of the car, and then he drops me off at the emergency ward. And I go in there, and they pull the glass out of my head, and they stitch me up. And then the doctor says, look, you can't go home alone. You've got a bad concussion. You're a serious risk of a coma. You're going to have to call somebody to pick you up. And at that moment, I couldn't call anybody because I never felt more ashamed and bad in my life. And even though in my brain I'm like, they're the bad ones. You didn't do anything wrong. But, you know, it doesn't register like that in your body. If you've ever been hurt by somebody else, there's something inside you that absorbs it in a way that means you are bad. Because that's how the body registers pain. Bad people get hit. You got hit. You are a shitty person. And I just never forgot that, and I hope I never do. I couldn't call anybody. So I waited till nobody was paying attention, and then I just slipped out of the door of the hospital. One thing about emergency rooms is they don't give you new clothes. They send you home in the same stuff you showed up in. So I'm out in the street at 1 o'clock in the morning with a torn shirt and a bloody face and bandages on my head going, taxi! And cabs are just like whizzing by. But luckily, it's 12th and Walnut, so the Irish pub was right around the corner. So it was just getting out, so I just walked over to the Irish pub, and like with a torn shirt and bruises, I just blended in. Grab a cab, and I go riding home. But by the time I get home, at this point, I'm starting to actually take this coma shit kind of seriously. So I called a friend in New York. I knew she'd be up, and I said, just do me a favor, just call me, make sure I'm not falling into a coma. And at this point, I'm trying to come up with a rationale, something that makes me feel a little bit better about myself. And I came up with this little thing. I said to her, look, you know, it was a bad idea, but it came from a good place. And she said, no, a good place would have been in the apartment with the phone. Because those cops came pretty fast, right? Like, no. Yeah, they did. And I thought about it because I had the rest of the night to not fall asleep. And no matter how you shake it out, the idea itself was indefensible. I should not have gone riding into an abandoned alley because I heard strange sounds in the Badlands. But maybe I've had some good ideas since then. I don't really remember what they are. But the bad ideas, man, that shit sticks with you forever. Thank you. All right, thanks.